viewers, and welcome to the studio of choice, the Say What Studios, in partnership with the Swedish Embassy. Today in the studio, we're going to be discussing about the recently passed marriages bill that was gazetted by the government of Zimbabwe in 2019, and it has been passed in 2022. So today in the studio, I have a lawyer, Mr. Nkomo. Can you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Thank you very much, Zimbabwe. My name is Zoroya Nkomo. I have an interest in family law. Thank you.
Ma'am, can you introduce yourself to the viewers?
Thank you. I am Staya Fombe, a student at Secretary's College.
Since in the studio we're joined by a lawyer and a student, this means that the discussion is going to be balanced as we're going to hear from both sides. So starting with you, Mr. Nkomo, what is it that made the bill unique, and why is it that it was found necessary to amend the bill?
Okay, thank you very much. I think let me start with giving the context of what is it all about, because at law, when we are coming up with any piece of legislation or any regulation, what is very important is what is the context. We need to ask ourselves, what is it which we want to come up, which is new, or what is it which we want to what is the defect or what is the problem which we want to cure. If you remember, in Zimbabwe, not only in Zimbabwe, but Zimbabwe in the world over, women are facing discrimination type. Women are not equally represented the world over, not only here in Zimbabwe. So I want to draw your attention to this bill.
Sorry, Mr. Nkomo, before you proceed, you said that women are not well represented in Zimbabwe, just like in any other countries. So okay, what is the bill doing to improve that? What is the bill saying about the representation of women in Zimbabwe?
Okay, the reason for setting up this bill was to cure a defect of discrimination. Zimbabwe is a signatory to what we call the Convention on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. So the one of the reasons for coming up with this bill was to put that into effect, was to make that international instrument live here in Zimbabwe. Then before that, there was a Customary Marriages Act, the way how our marriage regimes were being governed in Zimbabwe. There was the Customary Marriages Act, there was Marriages Act. So which means if the president signs this bill into law, it means the Customary Marriages Act, the Marriages Act will not apply, will no longer apply. We now have marriage regimes in Zimbabwe governed by one bill, which is this one, which we are looking into. Because I think in a very few days it will be as long as we are just waiting for the president to put his signature. So legally we are saying the bill is almost at the highest level of promulgation at law.
All right. Yeah. Taking that into consideration, Mr. Nkomo here said the bill is it's just waiting for the president's signature. Mr. What do you have to say concerning the bill? You as young people, you as youth, how are you taking the bill? I want to understand that you are a teacher. What is it that you guys are saying pertaining to this bill that is almost becoming an act?
Okay, thank you. With regards to the marriages bill, it's kind of controversial depending with the angle that we take it. Some are welcoming it because they are going to surpass the lobola process, because the civic marriage is saying that as long as two adults agree to getting married, they just go and marry without the need to go through the process.
Sorry, can I chip in? So okay, you're saying like some people are going to surpass this lobola paying thing. So
yeah, so
does it mean that this bill is saying lobola is not a mandatory?
Yeah, when it's civic, it's not mandatory, but customary, it's mandatory. So young people are really welcoming the bill because they are saying other parents or other guardians were taking lobola as a money-making process. And with regards with me as a teacher, it's protecting the adolescents as in there is no marriage to under 18. So it's protecting those little girls so that they can go to school, they can dream, they can live their dreams without being forced into marriages.
Coming back to the issue of the types of marriage that are recognized in Zimbabwe by the new bill that have been recently passed, I would like you to enlighten us a bit on the types of marriage and the effects that they're having on the community.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, since this bill is not yet in law as before the president, I think it's very important for us to understand the marriage regimes in Zimbabwe. Marriage regimes in Zimbabwe, they are, as it stands right now, they are governed by 3 regimes. We have what we call the civil marriage. You see that one which you like, you go to court and do all those things. Then we have what we call the customary marriage. Then we have what we call the unregistered customary law marriage, which is abbreviated at law as UKLU. Those UKLU. So what is now this bill now, the coming in of this bill, it now adds another part which we had no, which was no, which I can call it law. It was a bit of a lacuna which we had. There was a gap. This gap is the civil partnership. I understand.
Sorry, before you proceed, let me come to Mr. I want to understand what types of marriage are you, the young people, the youth in Zimbabwe, most likely to engage in, or most likely that are favorable for you?
Obviously, civic.
And why do you say the civic one?
Because here, bride price is not being used as an excuse to, to forbid. Can I use that word? Two adults to getting married. I can choose a partner, then we can just go and get married. No those processes, those.
So basically we're saying that the youth are happy that this lobola thing has been removed. Yeah. But do you realize that under the customary marriage, there is no marriage when there is no lobola? Yeah,
that I will contradict with the lawyer, because you are saying it is closing the gap, but the gap is not being closed because customary is saying no lobola, no marriage, and civic is saying if we are 2 and we agree to get married, then just go and get married, which is creating a gap between these two, somewhere, somehow.
Right, coming back to our lawyer, what would you like to say concerning to what you have just said now, that the 2 types of marriage are contradicting?
Okay. At law, they are not contradicting per se. Mm-hmm. It's a choice. We are saying we have choices. You can either get married using civil marriages, like what she said. But what is the benefit of civil marriage or of going to court? There is a benefit in terms of what we call proprietary or property consequences after the dissolution, and also even after death of another spouse, because it's very important to, when you are married using that civil marriage, it's very important, because if your husband dies, then it means that you are the only person who is recognized to be legally married to that particular person.
Can I come in there? Okay. I wanted to ask, you're saying that when your husband dies, you're the only person that is illegal to get things, like that is legal to get things, right?
To inherit as a surviving spouse.
But then do you realize that we have got civil partnerships?
Right, civil partnership, it's another thing. Mm-hmm. The civil partnership is another type of marriage, which this bill now is trying to address. I heard a lot of people saying, what we call, is it cohabitating or kuchayama pot?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not that. It doesn't mean that if you are in civil partnership, but literally it depends sometimes with where you are coming from. The civil partnership is to say, even if you are living with another person as a husband and wife, you can say, no, we want to enjoy conjugal rights just like any other person in marriages and so forth. But we don't want to be governed by the customary, by the unregistered customary or the UKLU or the civil, but we want to have our civil partnership where we can live. Then if we say, no, we want to go, then it's fine, we can say no, we can go. That is what is happening. And even another one of the countries which is progressively under this type of marriage regime is South Africa. They are good to civil partnership, but the problem is that our civil partnership have some challenges and problems.
Yes. So let's say we have a couple that have been married for less than 5 years, but the marriage wasn't registered.
Yeah.
How is the bill coming in when it comes to the property sharing issues?
Right. Yeah. The other challenge which I'm seeing in this bill, you know, is what we call proprietary and property rights for women. Section 26 of the Constitution is very clear. If you go to section 23 of the Constitution, it's very clear that during the subsistence of any marriage in this country, rights and obligations are very equal. But the problem with the bill, if you closely look at it, this is a legal opinion. It's worried about the property rights after the dissolution. After you say, I know, I'm no longer interested in you and so forth, then that's where we can say, no, then how best can we distribute the issue of property and so forth. But during the subsistence of the marriage, it's not clear. Let's say you are into a civil partnership. It's not clear whilst we are in a civil partnership or whilst the civil partnership subsists, what property or proprietary and property consequences does this jail is going to consider? Who now? It's not that adequately addressed.
So coming back to you, Ms. Dyer, what would you say that when this bill, it has been passed, right? And let's say the president signs that this is now an act. What are likely some of the challenges that are to come up due to the passing of this bill and officializing it?
Number one, discrimination, because as you have alluded, it is clear that the bill is still hard for the women, like it's still suppressing the young women, because it's not clear, or it's not clear on issues like kugaranaka, on issues like kuripangozi, where the young women are or the women in general are not being given like their rights. It's more like the marriage, it's up to men. Like
so,
looking into
can I ask you before she finishes? Like she's saying that this bill is kind of suppressing the women, but then when we look at the bill, when this thing was being underway, one of its core duties or the reasons why it was established was to bring equality. So when it still has a party where women are being suppressed, it means that it's not serving its purpose. What do you think?
Right, this bill, let me tell you this. This bill is looking from where we were and where we are now. It's a positive, legally speaking, it's a bit positive in other aspects. Not all aspects, but looking specifically for women. If you look at this bill, you see the issue of customary marriage. A customary union, the bill accepts that a customary union can be polygamous. You see, it can be polygamous and they are potentially polygamous. But the bill now was supposed to say if a person is in a polygamous relationship, for it to be recognized as a marriage which is at par with all other these marriages, this one, this and this and this must is supposed to be met. I want to give you an example, but it's a foreign example. Like in South Africa, if you are if you are into if you want to enter into what we call a polygamous relationship or marriage in South Africa, there is what we call the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act of 1998. The man can go and ask the court to say, I want to marry another wife. I want to take another wife. The reason for that, to say the court to accept that, is to protect the woman. Because the woman was the one, if we say there is no marriage, but these people, the husband had 2 wives, then who is at the disadvantage? If we say, no, we don't recognize you in a we don't recognize people in a polygamous, majority are women. Because women, they don't, from an economic point of view, our women were discriminated for quite a long period of time. Then we need now to uplift those women. But I know people, they say, no, we don't want polygamy, we don't want to talk about it and so forth. But what about a woman? And a substantial number of women in this country, they are in polygamous. Either from a religious perspective, we need to make sure that they are equal before the law, in as far as marriage regimes in Zimbabwe are concerned.
All right, civil partnership, right?
Yeah.
And the civil partnership, from what I have understood, it says that, let's say you have a wife and you have another you have a partnership somewhere else. When it comes to sharing property, the partnership gets something as long as they are able to claim on how the properties were attained. So, to an extent, when I look at this, I see that this is a disadvantage to women.
Yeah, because you as a woman, you need to prove, to say, I'm not saying the bill says a woman must prove, but in most cases, we will be proving to say, I was part and parcel of this.
It's the women, and yet it's not addressing.
But then, look, this is a disadvantage to the other one. Let's say I'm married to you. She is the partnership that you have for the civil partnership. Then when she comes claiming that she knows how all those properties were attained, she can get a share. That is what the bill is saying, right?
Right. If she is claiming that there was a valid civil partnership, then she must prove. How? We go to the bill. We go, section is 41, and she must prove all these things. To say, no, there was a partnership. We had the duration of relationship, the degree of mutual commitment to a shared life, the reputation and public aspect of the relationship. You need now, because at law, he who alleges must prove.
All right. So let's say that all the things that are enlisted there, she had proved them. It means that I'm on disadvantage. She can come and claim everything and go. Then you mean I have nothing left. This is an advantage.
Not claiming everything and go. Not. It's legally, even in our courts. You see these courts, when they are looking at things, you see, just when we're talking about justice, it's something which the court will deem fit and proper. People, they have a tendency of thinking that if that person is going to win, is going to take everything. These courts, they have rules. After having rules, they have what we call tests to say, no, this person, but if you are going to court, they will look not only at you, between you guys only. No, they will look at law, they will do an analysis of a lot of things surrounding issues, context and so forth, to say what really happened, how we got to this extent, what, all those things. So people, they were thinking that, what about if she managed to say, she is, let's say, the problem would be saying, what about if she qualified, if she is qualified as per the provision of section 41? No, it doesn't mean that she's going to get everything. No.
Right.
But the court will make a reasonable decision based on human dignity, equality, and freedom. That's what the court do.
All right. Yeah. So coming to you, Star, what is it that you guys as the youth are saying? Is it fair, what the bill is saying, that someone in another marriage that is outside, let's say in a civil partnership, there's what we call the small houses, right? To the lawyer, the small houses, right? Right. I'm asking her, Kuti, from the youth side, is it fair what the bill is saying? Kuti, someone who's in a civil partnership. The civil partnership these days, we refer to it as the small house, right?
That is the problem you created for these partnerships. But what about if I don't have a wife and I want to enter into a partnership? What are you going to call it?
At the end of the day, the small house, because you guys are not married.
You see, that is the reason why this bill it wants to cure that. I'm happy. The other part, why I'm very happy about this issue of civil partnerships, it's trying to be very realistic to what is happening. Whether you want it or not, something is happening of that nature.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's your take? Are you saying the bill is doing justice, or it's kind of biased some way? Pertaining to this issue of saying that someone in civil partnerships can attain properties, while someone who's also married is at disadvantage to an extent.
Yeah, the bill is a bit biased, and I hope we are not too late.
She's saying it's biased because what about if you were the one who is claiming?
If I'm not taking it from a personal perspective. In general,
okay.
It's really unfair to say someone just comes from Norway and they have something that is valid and they can prove it, and then they can just claim the whole property. And also, listening to what you were saying that we as people, we have the misconceptions about the bill. So I want to know, what are the legal steps that are going to be taken? Because as you can see that young people or young women, they are suffering, or they are getting into things they don't even know because they lack the knowledge about the marriage bill. So is it just going to be said in the discussed in the newspaper, in the Herald, or right now, and the young people who are going to view this show, they are going to maybe have a light of what is a marriage bill, how it goes. So what about a paida down there in Binga? How best is the is the law coming in to sensitize them, to let them know maybe before they want to get into marriage?
Before you answer, yes. I think I would like to give an answer, then process to you. So from what she's saying, she's trying to say that the bill has to come to the people first, so that they scrutinize it and understand it before it is passed, right? But then in this case, I feel that injustice has been done, because how many people have seen this bill? How many people have been involved in making this bill? Mm-hmm. But we already have it being passed already, and which is a problem, because we have people coming up with different ideas, and it's kind of too late. It's just waiting for the president's signature for it to be an act. What do you think?
In this country, there is what we call lawmaking. The lawmaking process, you go through interviews and so forth. During the time when there was a storm over the issue of civil partnerships, where people were saying this and this and this and this, right? That is, during the lawmaking process, that is my advice to young people in this country. Exactly. When there is a lawmaking process, please participate. Because the presumption, what is happening is that, you see, the bill was debated, and it was, but you can allege to say, no, unless if you're alleging to say the bill was debated, but I don't think it was adequately. But the lawmaking process was done. But the person can say, although you did that lawmaking process, there were no adequate consultations and so forth.
Okay. But my question was, we have the bill, right? Yes. They say it's going to be an act.
Yeah, very soon.
How best is the bill going to be made common to everyone? Like, before I get into marriage, how do I know? Like,
okay. Now after this bill becomes, if it becomes law, it will be the law. Then, what is now very important is that it's very important for our young people to understand what we call marriage regimes in this country. Okay. What If we say you are in a civil partnership, what is it? If you are saying not a civil marriage, what is it? If you are a customer, that is the education which we want now for young people. To say, do you understand not only the laws of this country, in the constitution, are you aware of this and this? Like for instance, for example, there is the issue of age of consent and the age of majority, the 18 years and so forth. Young people must know that. And to ask the question, and the person to ask that question is our legislature. To say, you are the lawmakers. How can we harmonize this? You allow me to have sex at 16, but you don't allow me to be married at the age of 16. Then how best can we do that? But you see now, I don't know what really happened, but that is the law.
Okay, maybe I can answer that.
Sorry, before you answer, I want to say something.
Yes.
Since we have different cultures, we have different religious aspects in Zimbabwe, and let's say, for instance, we have this church that allows people to marry even young girls and so on. How is the law making sure that everyone is adhering to the law? Because we have someone who can tell you, no, this is what my religion says, because I have to get married to as many wives as I want, including kids there, like the minors. Is the law applying to everyone, or it has got a targeted group that is applying to?
To do with early marriages, this is a good document. It's very clear it's against early marriages and so forth.
So it's applying to everyone, the law?
Yes, on the issue of age applies to everyone, whether you are in a polygamous or whether. But when we say the law says it's 60, before 18 you can't. That is the law. It's applicable whether any act or any conduct which is contrary to what the law says is illegal.
Right. So just to round off, I would want to ask you, what is it that you guys as the youth are saying? Could this bill has been passed, right? When it comes in act, what are likely most of the challenges or that are to be faced by the youth?
I think we have maybe we have exposed some of the challenges during the discussion. Those are the same challenges that we are going to face, and we really maybe appeal kutiri rinatso maybe kutariswa futere, or maybe those clauses, those specifically, like you said, there is somehow it's not that clear in some clauses. So maybe if it's possible, so that they can be made clear, so that we understand, because not everyone understands these sections, and it should be clear to a normal person down there, so that we move in line with the bill. Because some people they are breaking laws not because they want to break them, but because it is not clear what is it and what is it not.
All right, so coming to you, what do you think are the problems that are likely to be faced by the society about when this bill has been officialized and become an act?
What I must think, my last words are that the ushering in of this bill, it's a positive development in the family law discourse or in marriage regimes in this country. It's a positive, but I have a feeling that for women, this bill, we are likely to get some challenges for women. I was thinking that let's not think about what we call procedural equality. Let's look at what we call substantive equality, which I think it's a bit lacking in the architecture of or in the creation of the bill.
Thank you, viewers, for joining us today on the Legal Talk Show that we had concerning the marriage bill that has been recently passed. Feel free to follow us on our social media platforms and also call us on 577 for our call center for help.